as you guys can see, my bike is pretty dirty. I haven't ridden it since I crashed it today. And technically, I shouldn't even be riding this for now because I did break some things the other day, which I'm going to show you guys in a second. I did end up breaking my shifter lever, and then both my left side turn signals are completely busted. Alright, so as you guys can see, my shifter lever is pretty bent up. To even ride it home, we had to try to like bend it back to a normal placement for me to even be able to shift it correctly. It's still pretty bent and messed up. I actually ordered another one and it should be here around next week, so that's good. And then as you guys can see, both my left side signals are completely busted. They got yanked out the other day when I was trying to tow the quad. I guess that was partially my fault, but this one's completely gone. I don't even know where this thing is, so I had to order these. I haven't ordered these yet, but this one's completely just busted. Also, one thing I did want to mention about where I'm at right now, I would say I would call this Crackhead County, because the other day when I was here, I was washing my car really early in the morning, and there's a homeless crackhead running around the parking lot with a shopping cart, and he actually tried to come in this bay where the garage or the car wash was, and I was washing my car, and I didn't want him to come. He was trying to come in the car wash while I was washing my car with the shopping cart, and I told him to get the fuck out before. I was like, yo, get the fuck out of here, bro. And so he tried to come in, so I took the pressure washer and I actually just sprayed him with the pressure washer, and he ran off. He's like, I'm out. He just ran off. So yeah, Crackhead County. Alright guys, today I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of my 2024 Kawasaki KLX 300. Okay, so today is July 3rd, 2025. And I got this bike last year on July 15th, 2024. So it's almost been a full year that I've had this bike. And today, like I said, I want to talk about some of the pros and cons that I have with this bike. Okay, first, I'm going to start with the pros, and then I'm going to go into the cons. So my first positive thing about this bike is that this bike absolutely rips, you guys. This bike rips. And 100% of the time, it actually surprises me how much this bike is capable of on the trails and on the street. Okay, so that was the first thing. The bike rips. It absolutely shreds. Alright, the second positive thing I want to talk about this bike is that it's top speed. The top speed on this bike is about 90 miles an hour. And the top speed I've got it up to is around 85 to 90 miles an hour, okay? I'm 135 pounds, so I'm pretty light. But to get to that high speed, I literally, and I talked about this in my first Kawasaki KLX video when I first got the bike, if you guys remember that, I literally had to duck my head down to gain that speed. I had to duck down to get the wind to go over my head to get a top speed like that. And if it's on a windy day or the conditions aren't right, you're not going to reach that top speed. Or if you're on a hill, the thing kind of struggles, but it does rip. The third positive thing I have to say about this bike is that the gas mileage is actually pretty good. I know a lot of people think 2-gallon gas tank is not enough, but for me personally, I've had zero issues at all. And honestly, it's actually surprised me how much this gas tank actually lasts. Because if I'm out on the trails or I'm just riding to work or just riding it for my own fun, it shocks me because I'll look in the gas tank and be like, oh wow, like I'm still like halfway full, or I'm like, I haven't even like gone like halfway down yet. And I ran out of gas like one time on this bike, and I had to find a gas station, but that was just me not paying attention. But for the most part, the gas mileage on this bike is incredible. And if you're not commuting like hourly, like hours on end, this gas mileage on this bike would surprise you, to be honest with you guys. I've had no issues with the gas mileage on this thing. I'm not sure how many miles to the gallon it gets. I've read online. I'm not going to quote it right now because I don't remember. But the gas mileage on this thing is incredible. I've never had a problem with it. The performance on this bike is absolutely incredible, and like I just said, it shocks me every time I go out riding. And like I said, there's pros and cons, positive and negatives to this bike's performance, okay? But overall, this bike handles amazing. For a rating, I'll give it like a 9 out of 10 for this bike's performance. It shocks me. It absolutely shocks me. I'm going to get into more of the performance on this bike when I get into the cons of this bike that I have. But for the most part, this bike shreds. Like, for example, all the trails I've ridden, this bike just dominates the trails. And it actually surprises me how well this bike handles on the trails. Like, if I'm on a trail, right, and it's super steep, I'm just in first gear just ripping up the trail, and it handles incredible. It's like, holy shit, dude, like, this thing actually rips with no issues. Like, it's a 300, but this thing actually climbs hills like no problem at all. The bike's performance is impeccable. And that's what I think. And this is my first bike, and I only started riding about a year ago. The speed on this bike is good. The suspension on this bike is good. If I'm on the trails and I'm climbing hills and I'm going over roots or ruts or whatever, this bike actually dominates everything. It still surprises me to this day how well this bike actually performs. And this is going to be a completely honest review. If I had to say something negative or I had to say something completely positive, I'm going to tell you guys. I'm not going to hold back. If I have an issue with something, I'm going to bring it up. But for the most part, overall, this bike is actually incredible. No lies at all. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, straight across the board. If I have any issues, I'm going to tell you that in the cons. And there's not many, to be honest with you guys. When I first got the bike, this little bag is covered by my helmet right now. But the little bag on the back of the bike, at first, I didn't think I was going to really like it. I actually wanted to take it off. But in the long term, I'm glad I didn't, because it saved me a lot of the time to put stuff in it. For the main use, I have my insurance card in there, and then I have a pair of Allen keys and a couple small tools like wrenches and stuff. Like, for example, we were out riding the other day and I hit a jump and my bars bent down, and I was like, oh shit, dude, like I gotta start carrying like a small 10mm wrench so I can, like, if something happens, I can just tighten up my bars again. So I got a couple wrenches in there, and then I got like an Allen key for stuff, just small tools in case anything happens. And then also, recently it's been helpful because, not to say this in a bad way, but if something goes wrong and you end up breaking something on your bike that's moderately small, you can put it in the bag, and hopefully if you can fix it, you can put it back on later on. Or if you just need it to just have spare parts, you can just put the broken parts in your bag and have them for later, or just have them so you can throw them out later, whatever. But maybe after I'll show you guys what's in my bag. But honestly, for the most part, I have my insurance card in there and then some extra tools in case anything happens. I guess this is the last positive I have for now. I'm going to talk about the weight of this bike. This bike weighs 300 pounds, okay? And I'm like I said, I'm only 135 pounds, but I would say I'm a pretty strong guy, okay? I'm not the strongest guy, I'm not a bodybuilder, but for the most part, I think I'm pretty strong. But 300 pounds can be a positive and it can be a negative, okay? A positive, if you just drop your bike and fly ground, okay, yeah, you can pick it back up. But if you're on the trails and you're on a steep hill, or it's super muddy out and you drop it on a hill that's super steep, or it's super muddy and you're like in a mud pit, you're going to have some difficulty picking that bike back up. Okay, I promise you that. I mean, depending on how strong you are, you're going to struggle, because I have. I'll put in a couple clips, but like I said, I think my first review on this bike, I was climbing up a hill, and I actually didn't make it up the hill, and I dropped it. And it was a steep hill, so having this bike be 300 pounds, I had to pick it up on the side of the steep hill, and then manage to bring it back down the hill without crashing or dropping it again and making a huge mess. And to be honest, that was pretty hard. So that was pretty concerning to me, that if you get in a rough situation, 300 pounds in an awkward situation is going to be pretty awkward to pick up. But for the most part, if you're in a good situation, it's not that heavy. And then another thing, if you're ripping the bike on trails, it rips, dude. Like, it really does a good job. You don't even feel the weight. Once you get used to it, it's like featherweight, dude. It really doesn't feel like it weighs 300 pounds. Okay, that's pretty much it for my positives about this bike. Honestly, like I said, I would give this bike a 9 out of 10 for everything, performance, overall, across the board. I absolutely love this bike, and I would recommend it to anybody who wants an off-road dirt bike for the street and for the trails. I would definitely recommend it. I have a lot of positives. I love the bike. Now I'm going to talk about some of the negatives I have about the bike, and it's not many. I really do not have a whole lot of negative things to say about this bike, because in the long run, this bike actually shreds, and it just dominates everything that you're taking on. It really performs well. So let's get into some of my negatives I have about this bike. Two things that I mentioned, if you guys remember, was the mirrors, and then the license plate bracket are huge. I absolutely hate them. Currently, right now on the bike, I am running 0 mirrors, no mirrors at all. I took them off. I don't run mirrors on my bike. I think they were a pain in the ass. They looked really ugly, and they just made riding the bike really distracting. If you guys remember, I did buy some other mirrors that laid flat, like under the handlebars, and they didn't really work that well, and so I just took the mirrors off completely. When you're riding trails and stuff, and that's what I do most of the time, I'm taking the bike to the trail, so the mirrors, nope, took them off. Okay, so that was my my first negative at the bike. The mirrors were super ugly and just inconvenient. The license plate bracket, okay, I've kind of dealt with that. I do want to get like a shorter version of that just to clean up the whole back end. It doesn't really look terrible. I mean, it is pretty ugly, to be honest with you guys, but it's not a huge deal, and I've been dealing with it for the past year or so. But in the future, I plan to kind of tighten up the back end and get kind of a shorter license plate adapter for the back end. My second negative about this bike, okay, so for me, when I first started riding this bike, the street tires were perfect. It comes with street tires. I forgot what these are called. I think they're the Dunlop 605s or something like that. They're the street tires. These tires are great on the road, but once you go off-road, they absolutely suck. And it's hard for me to say that because these tires have actually surprised me very well. If you guys see my videos of me ripping on the trails, I'm on street tires, you guys. Like, I'm riding these trails on street tires, and I'm actually doing pretty damn well. If you're gonna ask me, I think I'll be doing pretty damn good on these street tires. You guys can see in some of my clips that I am slipping, and the bike doesn't have any traction, and if I'm on trails, it just looks like I'm on slip and slide. But for the most part, the street tires are pretty good for the street. But if you're riding mud, if you're riding trails, and there's roots and rocks and stuff, this bike gets real slippery real fast. So that's my one negative about the tires, is that I wish they came with a more knobby tire off the bat. But I plan to upgrade my tires to knobbies pretty soon, like I've been saying to you guys. That's in my in the books for the future, to upgrade to knobby tires. My third negative about this bike is the exhaust. I absolutely hate this exhaust on the bike. I mean, I can't really do much about it until I upgrade to a better exhaust with a better sound, and I do plan on doing that in the upcoming future. But this exhaust, it's so quiet, and it sounds like a freaking lawnmower, dude. Like, it sounds like a lawnmower. If you're doing like 85 miles an hour down the highway, this bike's screaming. Like, it's screaming bad. So my only dude, there's a deer right there. There's a deer right walking over there. The exhaustion thing definitely needs an upgrade, and I do plan on doing that soon in the near future. But it's so quiet, and it sounds like a lawnmower that's angry. It's just pissed off lawnmower. My fourth negative about this bike is that, I mean, it's not a big deal, but there's no gear indicator. So when I'm riding the bike anywhere, I can't tell what gear I'm in. It's all up here. I have to keep track in my head of what gear I'm in, and sometimes it's hard when a lot of things are going on and you're riding on trails, you're going on the highway. For the most part, it's pretty easy because it's 1 through 6, and you can kind of keep track of that. But for me, and I think for any bike that I would ever want to own in the future, I would love to have a gear indicator, just so you can keep track of what gear you're in without having to like mentally take note of what gear you're in and losing track and all that stuff. So, because sometimes I do lose track of what gear I am in. So that would be an upgrade for them to make on these bikes, is to have a gear indicator on the dash to tell what gear you're in. This one it's not really bothering me a whole lot. I just thought I'd mention it because people have in the past, and I thought I'd just add on to it. A fuel level indicator, just to tell how much fuel you have, how much gas you have. For the most part, I don't really have a problem with this, because what I do is that I'll just open the gas tank and see how much gas I have. It's pretty clear. You can see how much gas you have, if you need gas, if you don't need gas. I've never really had a problem with like, oh, like how much, you know what I mean? Just like, oh, I really need a gas indicator to see how much gas I have. No, I just open the gas tank and I just look and see how much gas I have left. It's pretty simple, but it would be nice to have a gas indicator to see how much gas you do have left if you're nearing an empty tank or not. The things I've done to this bike is that I am on my third clutch lever. The first time, like I told you guys, I dropped the bike and I broke it, and then recently I dropped the bike again and I broke the lever. So this is my third MZS lever. These are really good levers. I will always buy these for my KLX. I love these levers, and I love how durable they are and how you can adjust them and stuff. Another thing is that I recently broke my brake lever, and I've ordered the MZS levers in the past, so I had an extra. When you order the MZS levers, it comes with a clutch lever and a brake lever, so I had a spare brake lever in my garage, so I just put that on recently. So I'm on clutch lever number 3, brake lever number 2. I'm about to get a new shifter lever. That would be my second shifter lever, because I just bent that the other day. I'm on my second pair of bars because I bent those when I first started riding. So, I mean, it's part of the game, you guys. You're gonna end up breaking parts, and if it is miscellaneous stuff, I mean, honestly, some of these parts are super expensive for such little, like just a miscellaneous part. Like I think bars are like $200. I just spent $65 on a new shifter lever, which is pretty absurd. So I mean, where else you gonna get it? But it's part of the game, you guys. So if you ride trails, expect to break parts, and it's just part of the game. You got to play the game. As that is going to be it for my 1-year review on my 2024 Kawasaki KLX 300. I have nothing but good things to say about this bike, and I would definitely give it a 9 out of 10 for performance all across the entire board. And I would definitely recommend this bike to anyone who is getting into dirt bikes or motorcycles. I love it. I have so much fun on it, and I will continue to have a lot more fun on it in the near future. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.